And welcome everybody. Great to have you here. We're going to start in about 2 to 3 minutes. If this is your first time playing the live event game, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. My name is Keith Barker, and this quiz today is all about trunking with a heavy emphasis on VTP. I was in office hours yesterday, and what a great discussion we had. We talked about first hop redundancy protocols, and somebody said, hey, can you lab up and talk more about VRP and then do tracking? And we had a lot of help. I haven't done tracking on VRP in probably many years. So anyway, a lot of help from the group, configured it, verified it, a lot of fun. So I'm glad that you're here for this quiz today. Let's go ahead and sign in if you haven't already, and we'll be starting here in about a minute. Let me just line up a couple things real quick here, and then I'll put the number back on. All right. Again, great to have you here. We'll be starting here in a moment. We got a lot of some new people in the house. Welcome, 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 everyone. The pin code is at the very top of the screen, so if you haven't already done so and want to join us in this live quiz, go to kahoot.it and put in that pin, or you can use the app on the Android or iOS. Either way is great. All right, Prashant is in the house. Dan is here. Joshua's here. Dime is here. Jay Strict is here. The Shadow is here. Oh my gosh. So great to see everybody. Hello, Anurag. Good to see you. Hi, Asif. All right. It is that time. Here we go. I had a little... I'll save the story for later. All right, here we go. Welcome, everybody. My name is Keith Barker. Every Sunday, 11 a.m., we have a new updated modified quiz for the CCNA with Cisco technology. Here is question 1 of 10 today. It is multiple select. Which commands can show that a port is operating as a trunk? And Blendinator has a huge shout out for everybody and a super sticker. Thank you for that. Yeah. Saying good luck to everybody. Also, if this is your first game, the faster you answer correctly, the more points you get. All right, which commands show that a port is operating as a trunk? And there is show interfaces trunk. That'd be my first guess, which we had the most on. Perfect. And then show interface gig 2/0/1 switch port. That's a really cool command because it'll show you not only how it is administratively configured, but it'll also show you how it is operating. So that's a really handy one to keep in your pocket as well. All right, here we go. Question number 2. What is the primary benefit as well as the primary risk of using VTP? All right, the VLANs are consistent. That is a benefit of VLAN trunk protocol. If you have trunks that are set up and you have everybody set up for the same VTP domain, when the new VLAN is created, it's propagated. But you might ask, well, Keith, what about the risk? Why is that also the risk? And let me bring up an interface. Let me show you in measurable terms why it's so darn risky. So this is switch 1. I've got 5 switches in the topology. So I'm going to do a show. In fact, let me just do a show VLAN brief to all devices here. So this is show VLAN brief on switch 1. There's switch 2, switch 3, switch 4, switch 5. And see how we have 5 VLANs, plus VLAN 888 that exists everywhere. Let's imagine that we have a whole bunch of users across the network that are currently in VLAN 4. If we go to switch 1 and we say something like config T, no, VLAN 4, and then we just go back and we do the same command, show VLAN brief again on all the switches. Not only does switch 1 lose that VLAN, but so did switch 2, switch 3, switch 4. So the tricky part is it's convenient to add VLANs and manage VLANs and keep them consistent, but if it's not done carefully with the proper thought beforehand, you could actually delete a VLAN that's currently in use, and almost instantly, every user and every system and every server that was on that VLAN has just lost their connectivity, and they can no longer send traffic on the network, all with just one command. All right, fantastic. Here we go. Here's question number 3. It is multiple select. What information is advertised in a Cisco Discovery Protocol CDP version 2 advertisement? Again, the faster you answer correctly, the more points you get. And yes, Blahi, these are all Cisco-related questions, and all those switches I showed are all Cisco switches. Glad everybody's here. Oh, and I gave a little, I would say it's an Easter egg I'm giving on the screen. But for those people who answered it super fast and correct, you get more points. But if you haven't answered yet, take a look at the screen. This is literally a CDP advertisement that I caught on the wire with Wireshark. All of them are included. So I thought I would just put this up there as a packet, as a screenshot, and then have it come in slowly so the people who knew it right away could do it faster. But the actual native VLAN is there. The VTP management domain is there. the capabilities, the IP address, etc. All right, you did great. Let's continue the journey here. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. Glad Fox. No wonder you're glad. 6,277 points at the top, followed by Radiant Wallaby, Purple Turtle, Fast Tiger, and Soaring Ibex. There's still a lot of time and room left to grow. Here's question number 4. It's also multiple select. Switch 1 and switch 2 are about to be connected using the ports shown. What 2 things are expected to happen as a result? Joshua is saying had a brief taste of the podium. Nice, nice. And this game is not over. It's anybody's game. I'm glad everyone's here, by the way. Thank you, thank you. Oh, fantastic. Majority of the trunk will be established. Switch 1 will do the initiation or the initial trunk negotiation. And as I look at this, I think the reason for that is that this top switch, which is switch number 1, is administratively configured as dynamic desirable. And this guy looks like he's not configured at all, so his default position would be auto. And so this guy will initiate a connection, he'll respond back, and they will have an 802.1q trunk based on the output here. Fantastic work. As we continue on, top of the heap, Glad Fox still there, Purple Turtle, Agile Dog, Soaring Ibex, and Joyful Lemming. All right, we are almost halfway there. This is question number 5, multiple select. Why would a port, such as 2/0/2, be missing from this output? All right, well done. If someone went into the switch port and said no switch port on a multi-layer switch, that would make that port a layer 3 port and it wouldn't show up in the output of show VLANs. Also, if the port is acting as a trunk, whether it was dynamically configured or statically configured, that would also cause it not to show up in the output of this bad boy, which is show VLAN brief. All right, we're doing great as a group. My goodness. Question 6 of 10. It is multiple select. When a new VLAN is created on this switch, what will happen? let's talk about this for a moment. And great job, by the way, for green and blue there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the media. Let's take a look at what we know from this output. I know from this output that it's acting as a server, meaning VTP server mode. So the 4 server modes are server, client, transparent, and off. So if we are in server mode, that basically means we can create local VLANs here, and then we'll propagate them over trunks. If we're in transparent mode, it means we can create new VLANs locally, but we're not going to tell anybody about it. It also means that if we're in this domain, this VTP domain called OGIT, and we're in transparent mode, if we receive a VTP message, although we're not going to learn new VLANs from it, we'll still pass it on. So a VTP message comes in from one trunk, we'll go ahead and forward it out another trunk, and that way a downstream switch can learn about it. And then off says, I'm not using VTP. That's what off does. And you can still create a local VLAN, but it's not going to tell anybody. If it gets advertisements regarding VTP, it's not going to care. It's just not going to participate. All right, so if this, also, one of the options here was switch 5 will advertise it over trunks. And if you look at the configuration last modified by, this is the management IP address on the switch where somebody created that new VLAN and it got propagated. And here we're on switch 5, and this is our local identifier. So that also implies that there is an active trunk that this switch is learning information on. And then the configuration revision number here, that increments every time there's a modification to the VLAN database. Think of it like every time there's a new VLAN, it's going to increase that number. And that way, if you have 20 or 30 different devices and you need to find out which one has the most current version of the database of all the VLANs, the one with the highest number. So that number should be synchronized. So if this is configuration revision 11, everybody else in the VTP domain, assuming it's all stabilized, should have that same number. In fact, we can just do a quick check on that real quick by going here. See if I can find it. Yeah, there we go. So let's just send the command. This is 5 switches in my topology, and I'm using secure CRT down here to send the same command to all of them at the same time. And let's do a show VTP status, and then we'll tab through it. So on switch 1, it says the configuration revision number is 11 or 12, and this is switch 2, this is switch 3, this is switch 4, this is switch 5. And so if we made a change on a server, because we can make a local change there, config t VLAN 999. Let's just do it real quick. Do show VLAN brief. I've got a VLAN 888, but not 999. Let's do a do show VTP status, and let's do a VLAN 999. Press enter, and hit the up arrow key a couple times. See how it's still 12 right there? One interesting little side note when creating VLANs is that when we're creating a VLAN, it put us into VLAN configuration mode. It doesn't actually create the VLAN and increment the configuration revision until you exit config/VLAN. So if we type in exit like that, now that VLAN is created. And if you do a show VTP status, look at that right there. One of those little mysteries that you no longer have to worry about. So just if you're making a new VLAN, just exit out of VLAN configuration mode, and that will trigger the configuration revision update. It'll also then make that VLAN available locally. All right, here we go. Let me minimize that, and let's go back to the questions. We are on question 7. Here is question 7. It is multiple select. Which VT mode or modes will allow the creation locally of a new VLAN? And please forgive me if I just gave the answer to that away. Okay, the only one that doesn't allow the local creation, that's like config T, VLAN X, the only one that doesn't allow the new creation is client mode. So in server mode, we can do it and we'll advertise it. If VTP is off, we can do it locally. If we do transparent mode, we'll do it locally, but we won't tell anybody. And it's client mode that won't allow it. And what I like to do is, when I'm learning something or studying something, I like to verify it as well. So here on switch 5, if we specify VTP mode and the question mark, we say client. And then we verify that, show VTP status, also very important, just to verify that the change we think we made took. So now it's operating in client mode. So it can still learn about VTP. So if we went over to switch 1, which is far away, and we did config T and VLAN, let's do 678 and exit, that new VLAN is going to show up at switch 5. If we do a do show VLAN brief, there it is right there. So it's learning, it's able to participate as a member of the VTP domain. It's willing to accept the messages, but we can't create a new VLAN here. So let's go ahead and let's try to do VLAN. Let's do VLAN 9. Press enter. It says, wah, 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 can't do it. But all the other modes would allow it. So VTP mode server. And then we try to create VLAN 9, no problem. And then, now that it's created here on switch 5, we could go to any other switch. Let's go to switch 2 and do a show VLAN brief. And it's been propagated courtesy of VTP being advertising the VLAN messages over the trunk. All right. And somebody's asking about versions of VTP. This switch supports 1, 2, and 3. I'm currently running 2. And as far as version 3, there's some additional extended VLANs that can be propagated. So if you need VLANs above the normal range, you can use version 3. And there's also, what was that? There's also a few other benefits regarding version 3, but this is running version 2 by default. I don't believe I configured that. All right, moving on. And I think we have, just a few more questions to go. Switch 1 and switch 2 are about to be connected using the ports shown in this output. This is different than the previous one, so don't assume. So what will happen when these two switches get a connection together? You know, they say, Iqbal, better late than never. Glad you're here. This video will also be in the recordings in the playlist for the quizzes on my site, on my YouTube channel. So you can pick it up there later too. But it's good to have you here. All right, no trunk will form, and there's the majority of answers on that as well. That's fantastic. I'm super pleased. Let me go ahead and just confirm why that would be. So this guy is a dynamic auto. Operationally, this port is static access. Doesn't look good. And by default, this guy would be auto. And the old joke, as it goes, if you have one side auto and the other side auto, it ought to work. But that absolutely does not work with trunking. You need to have at least one side desirable to reach out and start the negotiations for setting up a trunk, or set them both to on, and that would do it too. All right, I think we have just 2 more to go. Let's see who's at the top. We have Purple Turtle, 14,656. Nice work. Glad Fox, Smiling Otter, Soaring Ibex, and Radiant Wallaby. Here we go. We got 2 more to go. This is question 9 of 10. It is multiple select. Switch 4 is in VTP transparent mode. Hard stop. All other switches are in server mode. What happens when VLAN 99 is locally created on switch number 1? They're all in the same domain, VTP domain, and all the trunks are working. Hey, thanks, Ness. All right, nicely done. Right after this live stream, this quiz, I'll be in the Discord server for a moment. There's actually a link to it in the description of this video, and I'll be in the CCNA voice room. And if you have questions about any of these questions that we had today, or I also see that Girish has a question about secondary IP addresses. If you have a question you'd like to ask me, just come and join me for a few minutes right after in the Discord server. It's also free, and I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. We'll be in the CCNA voice room. All right, switch 4 is in transparent mode. All the others are in server mode. What happens when VLAN 99 is created on switch number 1? And let's take a peek real quick. So here's our topology. Here's a beautiful pen I can use. So if this guy is in transparent mode, what that means, and they're all in the same domain, switch 1 has a new VLAN that gets propagated via VLAN trunk protocol down to switch 2. Switch 2 sends it. Switch 4, also in the domain, but in transparent mode, would see that advertisement and then forward it out its trunks, but it wouldn't actually use it. So the new VLAN 99 would not show up locally or be usable on switch 4, but switch 3, switch 5, switch 2, and switch 1 would all know about it. The other thing that happens is that, let's see here, answer those. The reason that green is not correct, and we had 39 people that thought it might be, the reason that green is not correct is because if we have VLAN 99, let's imagine we have an access port right here on VLAN 99. And we also have this access port where the client is on VLAN 99. And we created the VLAN here on switch 1. Basically, when that traffic is trying to be forwarded, switch 4, because it doesn't have VLAN 99, it's not going to support VLAN 99 trunk traffic. If it sees a frame coming in, this has an 802.1q tag that says, this is VLAN 99. And switch 4 doesn't know about VLAN 99 because it doesn't have it in its VLAN database or equivalent. It's going to drop it. And so we're not going to have VLAN 99 traffic throughout the entire network because switch 4 is a sourpuss. He doesn't, he's not playing the game. One of the things that is really important as I study and as I encourage you to study is lab stuff up. Stuff like this, just lab it up if you have a chance. Packet Tracer is absolutely free. I'm using an emulator, but it doesn't matter if you have physical gear or using Packet Tracer. Labbing it up is super helpful. So I thought, just as a test, let's do a show VTP status, which is the output here. And we'll do a show VLAN brief. And let's go ahead and add VLAN. How about VLAN 11? After we put this guy in transparent mode. So config T, VTP mode, transparent. Type in end, do show VTP status. It's super important. Not every time we put in a command does it take. And sometimes let's do a typo or something else that went on. So I always like to do the command and then a quick show just to verify. So we are in transparent mode. And also if we do a show VLAN brief, we have no VLAN 11. Nobody does, but we're going to create it up on switch 1. So config T, which is short for configure from terminal, and VLAN 11. Let's give it a name. New VLAN, ta-da! And we'll type in exit, and that's actually what creates the new VLAN, and now it's being advertised. So what's that? So if we do this, let me go ahead and do a show VLAN brief on all the devices. So VLAN 11 is on switch 1 because that's where it was created. This is switch 2 I just tabbed over to. It knows about VLAN 11. I'm going to tab over to switch 3. There's switch 3. It knows about VLAN 11. And so that's a demonstration that this was able to be forwarded. Let me show you the topology real quick. Where do I have it? I've got it right here. Let me bring it over. Here we go. So there's the topology. And so switch 4 is a transparent. So switch 3 knows about the VLAN because switch 4 in transparent mode was, and in the same domain, was willing to forward that. So switch 5 will also know about it as well. So go over there and bring back this interface. And let's go to switch 4, who doesn't know about it because it's transparent, didn't learn it, and switch 5. Also, if we go back and we do a VTP mode client, and this is a safe way, by the way. A lot of times at the access layer in our environments, we're going to want to make sure that if we are using VTP, that our access layer devices in the wiring closets, make sure they're set up as clients. And that way, if they get hacked or broken into, no one's going to be able to go ahead and actually create a VLAN there or delete a VLAN, because in client mode, you can only receive it. So let's go ahead and bounce. Let's go to switch 5. And let's make a new VLAN config T. VLAN, let's go ahead and do 456. That'll work. So now that's been advertised. If we go back to switch 4 and do a show VLAN brief, we've got all the VLANs. We got VLAN 11 and 456. And if we do a show configuration revision, show VTP status. I'm thinking it. There's the configuration revision, which just basically bumps every time there's a modification. And that's how they know if they have the latest and greatest version of the VLANs based on the configuration revision. So if they see an update that says 18 or 19, they'll say, whoa, I need that. And they'll update their database information of VLANs, and away we go. All right, I think we have one last question. Also, as I mentioned, I will be on the Discord server right after if you have follow-up questions. And all right, my friends, Purple Turtle's on top. Soaring Ibex, Radiant, Wallaby, Glad Fox, and Golden Yak. All right, Golden Yak, it's your turn. Here we go. Final question. Fastest correct answers get the most points. Multiple select. Switch 1 and switch 2 are connected using the port shown. Which of the following are true? Pick all that apply. Before you jump into, this is a little bit tricky. I would encourage you to take your time and pay attention to the output. You'll be glad you did if you give it an extra few moments to look at it. I also want to thank everybody on Discord for the idea for including VTP today in the quiz, and also for the great discussions and demonstrations that we have in our office hour every Saturday Pacific time at 10 a.m. Add it to your calendar. Recurring. We do it every Saturday, focusing on CCNA topics. Would love to have you. Feel free to join us. All right, all but yellow. Let's take a look at this output. Let me point out a few of the gotchas here. In fact, let me go to a slightly bigger screen. Let me see if this works. Okay, yeah, it works. And let me grab a pen. That works. All right. So this is the command show interface gig 2/0/1 switch port. It's a fantastic command tagging on that switch port because you can see how it's administratively configured and how it's currently operating. What's bothersome or worrisome to me about this output is that there's this option. So somebody configures. Who am I kidding? I told the switches to go ahead and tag even the native VLAN. So normally the native VLAN doesn't get a tag. But you can also configure it so you're going to force an 802.1q tag and encapsulation on everything, including the native VLAN. So that's done on both sides. So that's in place. But what's even more interesting is that the native VLAN, trunking native VLAN is VLAN 10 here on this top switch, and the trunking native VLAN down here is VLAN 1, which is a total mismatch regarding native VLANs. Now, fortunately, we're tagging everything, so that's not. I mean, it's just a disaster. This is a wrong configuration. But the native VLAN does get an 802.1q tag. There is a native VLAN mismatch between them. And as far as trunk negotiation, this guy's on, and negotiation of trunking is on. This guy's auto. So this guy did the initiation, top one, and the bottom one said, I'll play. And they became a trunk. So there was negotiation of a trunk. All right, and let's take a look at the leaderboard. Actually, it's the final podium. Right after this, we're going to jump into the Discord server. There's a link in this video description, so you can join me. If you're in the live event, if you're watching this recorded later, you can also find me on Discord in the office hour every Saturday at 10 a.m. If you want to bring your CCNA-related questions, you've been studying something, you want to know the answer, or you want to confirm how it works after you've been studying, it's a great opportunity. All right, I'm going to be quiet for a moment, and then let's enjoy the podium. All right, nicely done. And let me go ahead and here's our toughest questions as a group. There were 6 out of the 10 that were pretty tough. So here's showing the percentage correct. And switch 1, switch 2 are connected using the port shown. What are true? Which VTP modes? But here's the cool thing. You can look at these and you can say, I need to study a little bit on VTP or trunking, whatever it is. And I'll bet you the next time you visit this technology, you'll be that much better, which is my goal. Also, please check out the playlist. I put all these quizzes in a playlist on my YouTube channel. I think I call it the quiz playlist or something similar. And there's also a CCNA playlist that has 200 plus hours of videos. And I just do it based on topics from the blueprint that I think are interesting and needed. All right, let me go ahead and get some feedback as well. So if you would, do me a huge favor and on your gaming platform, whether it's the app or the website, if you could provide a little bit of feedback, that'd be great. I think it's just a couple clicks, pretty easy to do. And with that, I would love to see you in Discord. And let me, I will post the link for the Discord server. In fact, let me just do it right now. Let me take this out of full screen. And I've got a shortcut right here. And let me just paste it in there real quick. Come on, Keith, you can do it. There we go. Copy and paste. All right, so if you have a few extra moments or want to have any questions about the quizzes we just did, please feel free to go ahead and join us on Discord. There's a link there, and I'll be in the CCNA voice room. I'll leave the gear all running. I'll also leave the quiz engine open so we can go back to those questions if you have them. And until our next live event, my name is Keith Barker. I certainly appreciate the time we've had together today, and I wish you the best of success in your studies for the CCNA. Have a good one. We'll catch you next time.